Shalom, everyone. This is December 5th, 2017. My lesson is titled, The Future Begins Now. Sometimes we don't understand that the future doesn't happen sometime way ahead of now, unconnected to each day that we live. Sometimes we're so busy, caught up in different responsibilities and our schedule and whatever inadequacies we might feel about ourselves as we go through life. And for some of us, we've pretty much just written off what the future can really be, and we've shoved aside, locked up in boxes and packed them away, those dreams that we've had, all the things that keep coming to you, just surging inside of you, and you know this is you. You know this is something that you're supposed to be dealing with, that you're supposed to be doing. But we just put it off because we don't feel like we are able to do so. Because we think that we are here right now today and the future is pretty much gone because it is so distant and we cannot connect with it. It's as if it already came and passed and we missed it. But I think that for people who read the Torah, with its incredible stories of how the Creator shows that He is in control of the different things that happen in our lives, just like in the people's lives in the scriptures, we have to understand that if He still exists, and the world keeps running, so we know He still exists, then our future is still there and waiting for us. Whatever it is that you have dreamed about, that you have planned for, that you conceptualize in your mind, think about it again, because you don't have to give up. Sometimes we just don't understand when the Most High is moving, when He's approaching, when He's coming. He's coming to build a future. He's coming to put another brick into that dream that we've got. I want to read for you here about how the presence of the Most High came in Numbers chapter 11. Let me read from verse 25 to about verse 30. It reads, And the Most High came down in a cloud and spake unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, talking about Moses. Start at verse 24. I'll read from verse 24. And Moses went out and told the people the words of the Most High, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them round about the tabernacle. So Moses is speaking here the words of the Most High. He's teaching what the Most High said. And it says, And the Most High came down in a cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not cease. So what I'm noting here is that not only was Moses prophesying, just because, we know he's a prophet, but the people around him that were assisting and playing their part and helping him to get done what he was doing, they also began to prophesy, as this scripture is telling us. So then the Most High was moving not just in the life of Moses, but also in the life of these elders who were around him. Verse 26. But there remained two of the men in the camp. Because remember now, it said in verse 24 that the people were set round about the tabernacle. But these men seem to kind of just been a little bit distant from all of that. And it's going to tell you that they remained in the camp. You can note here that sometimes we limit other people, and it's like we do the same to ourselves because we've been cultured to also limit ourselves. And we feel like we cannot do what the Most High wants us to do, and we cannot take the steps in our lives that we should take because we have been cultured by all the different teachings and behaviors and the structure and system around us to seek permission always from other people to step up, to move forward, to do this, to go there. But these two men moved into what the Most High wanted them to do. They made themselves available to do what the Most High wanted them to do, even though they did not remain or they did not go into the tabernacle with the others at this particular time. But sometimes we feel like as leaders, if people aren't doing everything the way we want them to, or everything the way we expect them to, it's like they're out of line. And so as followers or people being led, the rest of us, we automatically take on a guilt kind of feeling. Because if a leader is not quite sure what we are doing or why we're doing this or that, or why we're taking certain steps, or why we are growing in a certain direction that seems different from how they are growing, we somehow feel guilty for that, when it could just be the Most High growing you in that direction that is different from what other people are doing. So man might look at you with a frown, but the Most High is actually favoring you, as he did with these two men that we're going to read about, where they seem to have been pulled aside to do something that seemed a little inconsistent with what the other elders were doing, being trained or raised up, or being cultured some more by Moses in the tabernacle. But they stayed in a different place. They were still in the camp. And so their movement seemed, or their lack of following, might have seemed to be something that was out of place, but the Most High showed up. But there remained two of the men in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad, and the Spirit rested upon them. And they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. So Moses is having these people gather at the tabernacle, and these guys stayed back at the camp. But it seems they stayed back at the camp because the Most High was just dealing with them. And notice there was no judgment here coming upon them. So it seems that the Most High was setting these men aside doing this. And if you look at their names, in the Hebrew, it's talking about love. Like these men, they loved the Most High. Their heart was toward him. It's like when Joshua was just lingering, and the presence of the Most High was just there, and he was just lingering in his presence. Well, these guys, it's like they were just, Moses had just done talking and so on. And it's like, I just get the sense that they were just like caught away with the Most High. And it's like they were lingering some more out in the camp and began to prophesy as the Spirit rested on them. And if you're dealing now with resting on them, the Most High coming up on them, it's settled down on them. You're not going to be running off and just, so they linger. Verse 27, and there ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. When you begin to just move in your life in the way that you know the Most High is leading you and you can't hold it back anymore, people might do that same kind of reporting on you. People just want you to fall in line. And then they come back next week and talk about we all need to get out of the box. But then they turn around after that and they try to push you back in line. So they go reporting. Because, hey, somebody's got to stop this. These people are prophesying based on the Spirit of the Most High. And by this time, with such display of power, crossing Red Sea and whatever, and all the stories that they knew of their forefathers and whatever, and all the things they see with the Most High doing with Moses and so on, you would figure that Israelites would know and be able to tell when the Spirit is settling upon someone. But they ran to go and complain to Moses to try to stop this move of God. People are not going to always like the direction you take. You can be a clone of another Israelite, a clone of the average Joe, a clone of everybody else. And that doesn't mean everybody that's doing something is just average Joe. But I'm just saying you're going to just be a clone of any and everybody else if you never become your own person. I'm telling you, when you become your own person, start to move into the things that the Most High is doing with you, you will realize that the future begins now. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, My Lord Moses, forbid them. Stop them. Stop this from going on. Stop this, the way the Most High is moving in these people. Because sometimes people don't see the Most High moving. They just see you. And if they don't like you, or if they don't like your style, they don't like your presentation, they don't like your choices, they don't like the direction you are moving in, they don't like where you're going, they don't like how you've planned it out, they don't like whatever you feel you need to do that you are carrying it out, because it doesn't look like what they're used to, it doesn't look like how they're used to stuff being done, and it doesn't look like you might still follow them. People will try to stop you. But if you are going to make it to your future, you have to realize that the future is not down the road somewhere down there years from now, but the future begins now, today. The future is not disconnected from today. The future is connected to today, to what you do today. And if you don't move into your future by doing what you need to do today, you will always be a clone of someone else and follow someone else till it's time to go to your grave. You have to become your person right now, regardless of what other people think and say about you. You have to shake off and break off those chains. Break it off and shake it off and move yourself according to how the Spirit is moving you. You've got your own mind. Your leader might be like a Moses that's got everybody in the tabernacle, but if the Most High is saying to you, stay over here and work on this plan some more, you've got to know in your life when the Spirit of the Most High is directing you. People may want you to serve them all your life and will keep you doing that and talk about, oh, you do such great service. They might not even have a problem with the service you give because you might not be a backstabber and so on. You might actually serve them well and lots of people noted and all the accolades that you get and so on. But there comes a time when the future calls and the Most High says, it's your time now. You got to get up no matter how much your leader is like the next best Moses. You see, because I'm looking now at us calling ourselves Israelites, and some people are having all kinds of fights and groups are breaking up and people are backstabbing each other and people are having all kinds of skirmish and all kinds of fighting and tugging and pulling and whatever. Listen, fights are always going to happen. Look at Judah and Israel. Fights are always going to go on. You've got to just move and do what you need to do and leave the other people arguing behind. Leave them and move on to your future. If the Most High is actually moving you, move on. There is more life ahead and let the Most High work it out. Because when the Spirit comes on you, if you don't begin to prophesy, if you don't begin to show some new kind of move of the Most High in your life, what's going to happen to all the things that you should do? What's going to happen to all the people who should be hearing from you, who should be led by you, who should come under your banner because the Most High is raising up somebody else? It's not about how bad the other people are who you left behind. It's about what you need to do. Because they may not have been bad, which is the reason why you're leaving. Maybe they were good to you and good to other people. See, sometimes we think that people just need to leave a group just because the group was going downhill and the teacher was bad and the leader was evil. No, sometimes you need to move because a good teacher and a good movement will ensure that you move on. Hello. Because a good leader is not going to hold you back. A good leader is not going to accuse you just because you left. A good leader knows that if I am that good of a leader, I should be producing other leaders who will grow out of what I have done and who will give their allegiance to the Most High and not necessarily to me. A good leader will make other leaders, instead of holding you down almost underwater like till you can almost not breathe, just to make you serve them forever. A real true leader will make sure you step out and do what the Most High wants. So they said, Moses forbid them because they're prophesying in the camp. These two, like, who gave them permission to do all of that? Verse 29, and Moses said unto him, enviest thou for my sake? Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his Spirit upon them. And Moses got him into the camp, he and the elders of Israel. So you see, Moses is like, why are you tripping? I wish all the Most High's people would prophesy. All, not just the big shot prophet, not just the big shot international leader and teacher and pastor, not just the ones who are just noted and oil has been poured over their heads and all that kind of stuff, not just those ones who are just nationally known, but all. You see, the future is now. When you understand what the Most High was showing in that scripture, where these two men just stood there and began to prophesy in the camp when others of the elders had moved on to show their support for what Moses was doing. These two men were doing what the Most High wanted them to do. So they might not have been with Moses and the elders at that point, but they were still pleasing the Most High. You have to understand that where the group goes is not the aim, but where you go based on what the Most High is leading you to do, that should be the aim. Because Moses knows he himself has the answer to the Most High, so he should know as well that you all have to answer to the Most High as well. So if the Most High is calling these men and descending upon them, they got to answer, even if it means they can't be with the group right now. You got to move on to your future. Don't let people hold you back. Don't let them put a guilt trip on you because you need to move on. Because if the Most High is descending upon you, it's time to pay attention to what he's doing, or you will always stay where you are. The future doesn't start when you are ready 15 years from now, when you feel you've studied and read all the books, and when you've gotten all this kind of experience. You will not get the experience until you begin now, because really today, right now, this is the beginning of your future. Your future is not one moment in time. It is a whole series of days connected together. Your future is a whole long time linked together, one day after the next, one day after the next. Your future begins now. Would God that all God's people prophesy. And so what the Most High was showing right here is that the future isn't coming way down later after you leave Babylon 2.0 and all kinds of prophecies come out. He says the future begins right away. From he called Abraham, from he called the others, from he called whatever. And he's showing it here again in the scripture. I take these two men and I cause them to prophesy in the camp, even though it's going to upset some other people. And it's showing a taste of what will happen in the future in like Joel chapter 2 verse 28 and 29, Jeremiah chapter 31, where we are going to prophesy. Right? It's a taste of that where all the Most High's people are going to get the word and the instruction and the ability to move on based on what the Most High is saying. He says, you see, that's a real leader. I would that the Most High would just let all the people prophesy, but somebody wants to hold you back. You will always be held back until you realize it's time to break out. It's time to be me. It's time to do. They may not like how you present, may not like how you sound, may not like the avenue that you take, the route you want to go down, but you've got to become you. And it begins now when you understand, when you hear a voice and you know that is not my voice, that is not my teacher's voice, that is not my parents' voice. This is the voice of the Most High calling me. It's time to move into your future, and your future begins now.